This meeting is now live, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Right. Well, good evening to everybody. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Boston Borough Council's Corporate and Community Committee. My name is Councillor Stephen Woodliff, and I'm the chairman of this committee, and Councillor George Corner is my vice chairman. As with all virtual meetings, and to allow public recognition of who is in attendance, we will now take a roll call of attendees. Jeanette, over to you. Will you take the roll call, please?
Thank you, Chairman. If attendees could please acknowledge verbally that they are present. Firstly, the committee, Councillor Tom Ashton. Not present. Councillor Peter Bedford.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Alan Bell.
Present.
Councillor George Corner.
Present.
Councillor Anton Danny.
Present.
Councillor Deborah Evans. Not present. Councillor Neil Hasty.
Present.
Councillor Martin Howard.
Present.
Councillor Judith Skinner.
Present.
Councillor Stephen Woodliff.
Present.
Thank you, Chairman. Also present are the relevant portfolio holders. Councillor Jonathan Noble.
Present.
Thank you. And Councillor Paul Skinner, the leader.
Present. Thank you.
There is also a non-committee member present, Chairman. Councillor Judith Wellborn.
Present.
Finally, the officers attending, the Assistant Director for Organisation and Corporate Services, James Gilbert.
Yes, hey, Jeanette.
The Assistant Director for Assets, Andy Fisher.
Present, Chairman.
The Improvement Development Service Manager, Rachel Robinson.
Present.
The Council Tax and Benefits Manager, Gemma Creasy.
Present.
And myself, Chairman Jeanette Collier, clerk to this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. You did have on the list, actually, Councillor Paul Goodale. Is Paul Goodale with us tonight?
Sorry, Chairman, he isn't
on the list, non-committee
present.
Councillor Paul Goodale.
He simply... Yes, he did ask that the link be sent to him for each Corporate and Community Committee meeting. So I did think he might be here, but he's not present, Chairman.
Fine, okay. Thanks very much, Jeanette. Right, okay, so we will go on to part one of the agenda, which are the preliminaries. And first of all, I have to receive apologies for absence and notice of any substitutions, if any. So, Jeanette.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, there are apologies from Councillors Anne Dorian and Frank Pickett. And I've received notice that Councillor Judith Skinner is substituting for Councillor Pickett. Councillors Peter Bedford and Martin Howard are attending to fill the 2 vacant independent seats, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, welcome to Councillor Judith Skinner. Thank you for coming. And to Councillors Peter Bedford and Martin Howard also for filling in the spaces. So thank you very much. Very welcome to the meeting. Now, part two is to sign and confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 27th of August, 2020. Are we agreed that it's a correct record? You've had the minutes. If any member wishes to challenge the minutes, please indicate via the raised hand facility. So let's have a look and see whether people are happy with it.
Nobody is indicating, Chairman.
Okay, well, if there is no challenge, I will then take it that you agree with the minutes, and I will sign them at a later date. Okay. So if there's no challenge, I will take it that you agree with the minutes, and I will sign the minutes at a later date when we have the opportunity, sometime in the future, perhaps. Who knows? Next one is to receive any declarations of interest in respect of any item on the agenda. Are there any interests?
Again, nobody's indicating, Chairman.
Finally, to receive any written questions from members of the public. Are there any?
There are none, Chairman.
Okay. Right, thank you very much. Now we go on to the next part. So that concludes the preliminary items. We now move to part 2 of the agenda. The first item of business is the Council Tax Support Scheme for 2021-22, which appears on page 7 of your agenda. This is a report by Ms. Gemma Creasy, the Council Tax and Benefits Manager. Ms. Creasy, welcome to the meeting. Very pleased to have you.
Thank
Here. And would you be able to present your report, please? If
I
that's
can,
okay.
yeah. Yes. Good evening, everybody. As you'll see, you will have the report for the Council Tax Support Scheme for 21-22. This is a continuation of previous schemes. Council tax support was introduced in 2013 following the abolishment of the council tax benefit that we used to have. We have for the past 5 years not looked at having any fundamental reviews on the council tax support scheme, and we're not looking to have any fundamental review this coming financial year. The reason being is due to universal credit that has that came in September 2018 in Boston and is still rolling out. We're not expecting universal credit to be fully rolled out until at least 2023, when the full migration has happened. So we are looking to continue with our scheme with some minor changes for the coming year. Council tax support, we have a caseload of around 4,700 as we speak at the moment. There is a rough 50-50 split between pensioners and working age. It's slightly tipped over with working age, but it is around the 50-50 split. And we have 3 options that we're looking at tonight for the council tax support going forward. The first option is to continue with the current scheme as it is with a no change approach. This option would uprate in line with other benefits with the Department of Work and Pensions. So if they increase their state retirement pension, we will increase our applicable amounts to rectify to reflect their changes. That would be a consistent approach with our current scheme, and that is what we went for last financial year. Option 2 would look at uprating in line with the Department of Work and Pensions, but it would also look at only assessing those working age claimants who are in receipt of universal credit at a 3-monthly interval. Now, the reason that we're looking at this as an option is because of the amount of universal credit changes that we receive as a council. We currently have around 900 claimants who will be receiving universal credit and have an earnings element to their claim. That means that they will receive a change in circumstances every month for their universal credit, which will therefore mean they have a change in circumstances on their council tax support every month, which then means they get a bill from us every month and their payments may change. As I say, we have around 900 of those at the moment. We do receive universal credit awards for all of our universal credit claimants every month, and their cases are all changed, that their cases would change. However, if they have no income, working income earnings, then they will not receive any amendments. So this is mainly affecting those that have the earnings in that will have any changes. And option 3 is looking at no changes applied to the scheme at all and no upratings. This would mean we was out of sync with other benefits across the nationally and locally. This has gone out for consultation. The consultation ran over September into the beginning of October. We produced the consultation on our website and social media sites. We had some good responses from the public. 72% agreed or strongly agreed with the proposal to continue our current scheme, and 65% agreed that the scheme was fair and provides support to the most vulnerable. 39% agreed to different timescales of assessment for those universal credit claims. It is a statutory requirement that we review the council tax support scheme every year, and this report will be going to Cabinet on the 21st of to Cabinet next week in October for their recommendations. I'm happy to take any questions.
Right. Now, Jeanette, who wishes to speak? Are there any hands up?
No one's indicating yet, Chairman.
Oh, yes, I can see Councillor Danny. He waved at me.
Oh,
I see
yes.
you, Danny. I think you have the floor, Councillor Danny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to put my volume bit up so we can. Oh, yes. Thank you. It's just a simple question, Jenny. Is because of the current situation of COVID-19, did the number of the claimant, which is universal credit, has been going up or has been going down? Have you taken any measures regarding the current situation with the COVID-19 in probably adjusting the tax benefit? Thank you.
So with COVID-19, yes, we have had an increase in claims received. Our caseload has stayed fairly static, mainly because as people come off, people are coming on at the same time. And not everybody that has applied has been entitled to the benefit, but we have definitely had an increase in claims over the last 6 months. This scheme is obviously in line with previous schemes, so we would take into account any income that anybody has at the time of their application, or if they have any changes due to work, furlough, that will all be taken into account, yes.
Yes, Councillor Danny. Any more?
Yes, I'm coming to Jenny.
Go-
Thank you,
go
Jenny,
ahead.
for the explanation. Okay, there is 2 more questions regarding the answers coming from. So can you tell us what's the figure for that increase? That's one question. The second question, how do you deal with homeowners? Because most of the time homeowners probably they don't get as much benefit as people who are on income support. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So this is for council tax support, so it doesn't look at whether somebody is a homeowner or not. It's purely on their income coming into the property. It is a means tested benefit, but we would not take into account the mortgage on a property for the council tax support. For the increase in claims, yes, we are keeping an eye on how many increase of claims we have, and they are reported in with the quarterly performance every month.
So just to clarify for me, Gemma, so if you are a homeowner and you're out of work in these hard times, do you get a benefit to be, having your council tax waived or paid by the income support or universal credit?
You can apply for council tax support. You can also apply for universal credit as well. So they are separate benefits. So if they can apply for either or both. With council tax support, it is a means tested benefit. So we would look at all their income and we would look at capital. So as well, but if they are out of work, then yes, they should most definitely contact the council tax department and we'll be able to see whether we can help.
Thank you very much, Gemma. No more question, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman. So I leave it here. I may come back. Thank you.
I have
Thank
a
you, Gemma.
hand up from Councillor Judith Skinner, but I can see Councillor Bell waving at me. So since I think Councillor Bell was waving at me before, well, Councillor Judith Skinner, do you want to come in? You actually did put your hand up. So in all fairness, ladies first, I think. Don't you agree, Helen? Ladies first?
Yes, I agree, Chair.
Yes, right. Off you go, Judith.
Thank you, Chair. I'm looking at option 2. One, would it provide a better outcome for the applicant? And so therefore, how long would it take to do, because you'd be doing more assessments, how much more workload would be involved in doing that?
With option 2, it would actually be slightly less workload for the assessment officers. The reason being is at the moment, every month when they have a change in circumstances, we would action that change in circumstances and reissue them with a new bill. This doesn't provide consistency for the applicant. So for the applicant, they would benefit from having a more consistent approach. They would have a regular payment with option 2, and we wouldn't be issuing them a new bill with a change. If somebody's earnings change by £1 each assessment period, universal credit is assessed on a monthly payment, then their entitlement to council tax support would change each month, whether that be up or down, and we would be issuing them with a new bill. With option 2, we would be looking to only change that every 3 months, so that they would know they had a regular payment for those 3 months. If their income changed significantly within those 3 months, then we would look to reassess their claim. So if they was receiving £100 earnings for those 3 months, but in the second month that dropped to £50, we would of course reassess their entitlement because they'd be entitled to more benefits. That would work the other way. If they was earning £100 and the second month they earned £150, we would of course assess the benefit for that second period. But if their payment is just changing, their earnings are just changing by £1 or £2 every month, we wouldn't then be looking to change their entitlement for a 3-month period. So the customer would be aware of what to pay for those 3 months.
Yeah, but they're thinking about it otherwise. If we're not assessing it on a monthly basis, they could be struggling to find if they're entitled to more benefit 1 month, and they may be struggling to find it if we haven't given them it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why we would look at any significant changes. But if their entitlement are just which for a high proportion of people, their income potentially doesn't change by that much each pay period. It could just be the odd £1 or £2, £5 here and there. Theirs wouldn't change. But if it was a significant change, we would be reassessing that person's claim and getting it out to them as soon as we was notified from the Department of Work and Pensions regarding their universal credit. This would not stop the customer contacting us at any point and asking us to reassess it and then providing the information for us, because at the moment we are working off the information given directly from the Department of Work and Pensions for their universal credit claim. But if at any point the customer wishes to give us the information direct, we will of course assess their benefit for them as soon as we get that.
Yeah, so there's basically, as I take that for what you said, if we do go for option 2 with the 3-month period, there wouldn't be anybody that would have need to be in financial difficulty.
No.
Thank you. So thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
You happy with that? You can come back anytime you want.
I will do if I want to. Thank you very much.
Councillor Bell, I saw you waving at me earlier on. The floor is yours.
Jenny's just answered one of my questions, but the other one is, you mentioned percentages. Well, what was the total number that we interviewed or took part, please?
The percentage of what, sorry?
You know, you quoted the percentage of people, pensioners, etc. Could you tell me the total that were interviewed or took part in?
So as of the 31st of July, we have 4,000. So we had 4,634 claimants. 2,255 of those were of pension age, and 2,379 of those were of working age.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Probably a deep question. Have you heard anything from the government if we're going to keep this £20 extra universal credit?
We have heard nothing, no.
And another one that is far reaching. Do you know the child poverty in Boston? Or is that too much of a remit?
Yeah, no, sorry, I've not got any details on that.
Can you reveal that to us, Councillor Bell? Can you reveal that to us? I'm sure you know the answer to that.
I've got a few figures in mind. Yes, Chair, but no, I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Perhaps you could circulate the figures. It would be very helpful, wouldn't it? Because you're more in touch with this probably than anybody. You know a lot about this. If you have any information,
we'll have to confer, Chair. How's that?
All right, okay. I understand. Very, yes, I understand. Yes. Very, very important to be careful. particularly as we're online. I have a question, I suppose, is, are we protected against the end of the furlough scheme? Because when the furlough scheme ends, there could be a very significant change in people's incomes, and it could be quite significant.
We are preparing that we may have an increase of claims come when the furlough scheme ends.
Yeah.
We don't know what will happen. It is unknown, and it's been unknown for the last 6 months. But yes, we are preparing that once the furlough scheme ends, there could be an increase of claims. However, there is reports that within Lincolnshire, Boston doesn't look to have as the potential to have as many redundancies as other areas, but it is such an unknown. So yeah, we will prepare for the worst.
Yes, or hopefully the best, maybe.
Yes.
The worst. Yeah, I understand that. It's one area I think we could be potentially vulnerable. There was a tsunami of claims. Yes, Councillor Danny. Yeah, I can see. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to add something on what your question. Actually, yesterday, it was a van with a billboard on it, a big one from Amazon, recruiting people with no experience in Boston all day. And there is another agency which is they needed 300 people to work in some factories. So as Jenny said, I think around Boston, there is enough jobs for people if they want to work. And probably the things will not seem as bad as it could be for the future. But we don't know with COVID, anything can happen anytime. And I would like our council probably to be more prepared and aware of the situation. And hopefully we get out of it, I mean, in good health and with good finances as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I completely agree with you, Councillor Danny. I think in general, this area has relatively low unemployment, but also tends to have fairly low levels of pay, wages and so on. It's a low wage, but low unemployment area. I think perhaps surprised people. Look at the stats, I think that's quite so. Contradict me. Does anybody want to contradict me on that?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, can I have just one question to Gemma?
Yes.
The question is quite probably relative to council tax or universal credit. Okay, because I am in contact with a lot of members of the public from different countries, and some of them, they don't speak probably English, they speak more Spanish or Italian, so we talk. I had a young man who works with Romanian families, and he say he helped them get an universal credit as soon as they get to the country. How does it work? Because I don't think so they have the right to do that. But he told me that there is a way of doing it. He didn't want to tell me how. I didn't tell him I was the mayor or a councillor, but he was talking to me as just a coffee maker, a barista, which was nice. So I wonder how they get to this stage to get universal credit. If you can explain, Gemma, I will really appreciate that.
Okay, I don't know the answer to that. So the universal credit is a Department of Work and Pensions benefit, and to apply for that, they have to meet certain criteria. So that criteria isn't set by Boston Borough Council. I wasn't aware that could happen. I suppose it depends what answers are put on their application form as they fill that in. So if you find out, then please let me know, but I don't know, I'm afraid.
I'm trying to find out. I will investigate it, but since we have the the opportunity now, so I would like to to ask it.
There are stringent checks taken by the Department of Work and Pension to ensure that payments are only made to those that are eligible. But obviously, there is people that it depends what answers they give universal credit as to why they're paid. But yeah, I can't answer that anymore, I'm afraid.
That's all right. Thank you very much for your answer. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to talk. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure, Councillor Daniel. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Now, does anybody else wish to speak? Oh, I've got Councillor Judith Skinner back again. Yes, Judith, come on. Oh, sorry. And Councillor Noble wishes to speak. Well, I think actually Councillor Judith Skinner got a hand up before yours, Councillor Noble. So you've been...
Councillor Skinner should go first as the lady. Please proceed.
That's right. All right, Judith.
Well, Chair, I was going to make a proposal that we recommend option 2. So, following on the questions that Jeb has answered for me, I feel quite content that no applicant is going to suffer any detriment by only doing a 3-month reassessment. And if we do get extra cases, it will give extra capacity to cope with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, I agree with that. So we have to have a seconder then, won't we? Councillor Judith Skinner's made a proposal. We need a second.
I raised my hand. I raised my hand for that.
Right, Councillor Daniel will second. Well, you can second as well, Councillor Bell.
Or then it's age before beauty. So I do accept that.
I'm passing no comment on that one.
Sorry, Councillor Bell. Just to see you smiling. You can go ahead with it. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Did you have a question, Councillor Bell, anyway, or is it just a second? Or
just a second, yes.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm happy for that anyway. Well, Jeanette.
Yes, Chairman. Yes.
Right, now have you got that down?
Chairman.
We've got a proposal and we've got a seconder, haven't we?
Yes, it's been proposed and seconded to go for option 2, but did you want to bring in the portfolio holder, Councillor Noble, first?
Yes, I can't deny Councillor Noble his space. Councillor Noble, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. It's just I want, like Gemma, please to confirm that under option 2, which seems to, as obviously the proposal here, that a claimant is assessed every 3 months. Can Gemma just confirm that working age claimants under option 1, they are assessed every month, and how physically are they assessed? How do they show you their proof of income or lack of it?
Okay, so what happens at the moment is, when a customer makes an application with us, they will provide certain information to us, which will include their wage slips, any proof of capital, and any proof of any other income or benefits that they're receiving. It's the customer's responsibility then to notify us of any changes that they receive throughout their entire claim. However, with Universal Credit, we are notified via a data transfer from Universal Credit on a monthly basis if they have any changes to any of their Universal Credit. The customer is still entitled to tell us of any other changes that they may have, which we may not find out from the Department of Work and Pensions. Once we receive that data share from Universal Credit, we will assess their claim every month or every time we're notified of a change. But because Universal Credit is assessed monthly, we will get a report from them every month, and then we will send the customer a new letter and bill if they've had a change. If they haven't had a change, we won't notify them because there is no change to notify them of. So that's how it works under option 1 at the moment. Under option 3, exactly the same process will happen. If there is no change to their entitlement, we won't send them anything. We will just close that record down. If there is a change and it's a significant change, we will assess their claim and send them a letter out. If the change is very minor, then we will just close that record down and wait for the 3-month period to reassess it. In the meantime, as I said earlier, if any customer they believe it's a significant change or they want to notify us of any other change, they can do so by calling the office or emailing us and telling us of that change, and we will assess that separately.
Thank you, Gemma, for that clarification.
Right, does anybody else wish to speak? Any comments from anybody? Is that no? If
No,
it's
nobody's no one's indicating, Chairman, in which case should I take the vote?
Yes, we'll go to the vote then. Please go to the vote. Yes, Jeanette.
So it's been proposed and seconded that option 2 be recommended as set out in the report on page 11. Could members indicate whether they are for, against, or wish to abstain? Councillor Peter Bedford.
For.
Councillor Alan Bell.
For.
Councillor George Corner.
For.
Councillor Anton Danny.
For.
Councillor Neil Hasty.
For.
Councillor Martin Howard, if he's present. I did notice that.
For.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Councillor Judith Skinner.
For.
And yourself, Chairman.
For.
That's unanimous, Chairman.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chairman, for your very thorough report. It's been very, very good indeed. So thank you very much indeed for attendance, and thank you for explaining things so clearly and concisely to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, we move to the second item of business. which is the Workforce Development Strategy, which appears on page 17 of your agenda. This is a report by Mr. James Gilbert, the Assistant Director, Organisation and Corporate Services. Welcome to the meeting, James Gilbert. You're very welcome to be here.
Could I just say a few words first, please?
Sorry?
Could I just say a few words first?
Of course, yes.
Well, what I'd like to say, this is a good example of teamwork, and we've not had a workforce development strategy before, and this seeks to actually encourage people to be the best they can be, and I'm very, very supportive of it. Starting down the journey, they've consulted the staff and also the unions, which is something I also really welcome. Yeah. And I'm not going to steal either James or Rachel's thunder. They've worked very, very hard on this, and I very much welcome it. Thank you, Chairman.
That's great. Thank you very much, Leader. Thank you very much indeed. Right, James. So the floor's yours, really, isn't it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If it's okay with you, if I give a little bit of context in terms of the development of the strategy, how it's come about, and Rachel does a bit of detail in terms of what that strategy aspires to achieve in terms of kind of the actions within it and the priority areas that are identified. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the peer review that was undertaken in September 2019 at Boston Borough Council when the LGA came into the authority. One of the recommendations from the peer review was that a workforce development strategy was adopted within the organisation, really focusing on the culture, working practices, and also the development of the workforce, recognising the journey of change the council is on in terms of the way it delivers services, the way it embraces technology. We've worked with unions, as Councillor Skinner said, staff within the organisation to pull together an overarching strategy that sets out a number of priority areas that we think are really important and that staff think are really important to us. So the idea is that the strategy itself goes to Cabinet next week with the comments from this committee, but it also goes on to the East Lindsey District Council Executive Board as well, because it's going to be the first strategy that we jointly adopt, if you like, as an alliance, recognising that we've got the joint workforce. So the idea is that it's something that's approved by both councils, but it's about how our workforce develop over the coming years. Now, it's okay with you, Chairman, fellow councillors, if I could hand over to Rachel to give a bit more detail on the strategy itself and what's contained within it.
Welcome to the meeting, Rachel.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening all.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. So before you, as has been explained, is the workforce development strategy for Scrutiny. And as James has said, this document sets out the approach to be taken to develop the culture, the working practices and our people. And also, as mentioned, a workforce development strategy was a key recommendation from the LGA peer review in 2019. And so this document has been created following the formulation of the Strategic Alliance. I think it's fair to say that the proposed corporate strategy that's currently going through the decision route is ambitious, and delivery of such a strategy doesn't just happen. And so therefore we need to ensure that we have an equally ambitious workforce development strategy to ensure that we have the setup in terms of the people with the right skills, right behaviours, the right technology, processes, etc., in order to deliver. Similar to the corporate strategy, the approach is to steer away from a very long document. My experience is that they can often be written once, never read, and most concerning, then not delivered. So we try to keep this relatively short and punchy with one theme on one page. The strategy is broken down into 6 priority themes, and then each of those themes is then broken down into why it's a priority, what are we going to do, and what success will look like. So just in terms of, for a summary, the 6 priorities are: theme 1 is around attracting and retaining talented employees. So this is around, and I'm sure you've all heard it before, about the right people with the right skills and the right attitude, the right behaviours, all those right place, right technology. Theme 2 is around that flexible approach to service delivery. I think it's fair to say the workforce have been working in rather extreme circumstances over the last 6 months owing to the COVID-19 situation. But what that has demonstrated is the ability to still deliver, even in the most challenging of circumstances. So this is about moving mindsets away from that attachment of work being somewhere that you go, and actually work is something that you do rather than somewhere you go. And it's also creating this environment where we'll seek to have the workforce working in an adaptable way that will raise hopefully performance and productivity, and also resulting in reduced costs. Theme 3 is around a healthy and active workforce, and that's fit and healthy workforce, both physically and mentally. The opposite being a workforce that obviously has increased sickness or absence away from work, reduced productivity and performance, and is ultimately quite costly. Theme 4 is around shaping our organisational culture and maximising staff engagement. This priority is really about setting that culture of the organisation, and the leadership team have been really clear when I've spoken with them on the need to create a one team ethos. So setting those shared values and behaviours, and what does it feel like to work here, and also making sure that we've got that individual buy-in of individuals into the corporate strategy, so that they're able to identify the part that they play in its delivery. And again, it's also about empowering our workforce by giving them the skills that they need, and also the confidence to take decisions when it's necessary and appropriate to do so. Theme 5 is around being efficient and effective in all we do. So this centres around our processes, and again, empowerment of our teams to bring forward improvements to our processes and procedures, looking at advancements of our processes through the development of our online systems. And through the Alliance, this is also about creating resilience within our team and looking at our workforce and using them based on skill rather than just defining them by role. Theme 6 is around celebrating our success and rewarding excellence. It's my experience that councils are often notorious for not shouting about all the great things that we do, certainly externally, but sometimes also internally. So on an external level, as it says in the document, where we have a strong story, a positive story to tell, we'll seek to tell this through regional and national profile. And then on an internal level, it's about the importance of recognising and rewarding the excellence that we have within our workforce. And that's through our employee recognition schemes and ensuring we have competitive and fair reward. So that's kind of a brief summary of the themes. As James has kind of alluded, in terms of accountability and to ensure delivery, the strategy will be underpinned by a workforce delivery action plan. That will be a 4-year plan, but it will also include a minimum of an annual refresh to ensure it remains responsive to any changing needs. And the delivery of that will be overseen by a workforce development board, which will include a myriad of representatives from corporate management team, service managers, a wellbeing representative. We have a number of mental health first aiders. They'd be a great insight for the elements to do with health, and also a one team voice, so our employee representative group, perhaps representatives from our partner organisations. In terms of input to this document, as both Councillor Skinner and James have said, we have feedback that's been incorporated from the leadership team, the wider corporate management team, service managers, union colleagues, and the one team reference group, who all provided really valuable feedback. So I think I'll stop there in terms of providing that overview summary, and thank you for your consideration of this document, and I welcome any questions or comments.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, Rachel. That's excellent. Any questions for anybody? And Councillor Bell, you're waving your hand at me, so I'll have to. I'm going to give you the floor, aren't I? Come on, Councillor.
Thank you very much, Chair. That's much appreciated. Yeah, I've got 1 or 2 questions. The summary on page 17, where it says employees and trade unions have been consulted. Well, I spent 2 hours talking to GMB yesterday, and unfortunately, David Shammers had nothing from East Lindsey or Boston on this. So could somebody explain that one to me, please?
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe that to be the case. I've discussed it a number of times at joint consultative committee meetings with GMB reps, both Colin Todd's certainly been there, and Unison representatives. So Unison and GMB have had the opportunity to put into this document from the very outset.
It tells me is the RO, obviously. He's not received any emails. So it's, to me, it's complimentary. We started this in 2007, Mansfield District Council. We included all the ROs because I was the branch secretary of Unison at the time. So I got my RO, GMB with it, and we spent several meetings going through it all because I'm all for getting the workforce educated, really am. It's a plus factor to me, it really is. So I would like to know then, which employees did you talk to and when on this, please?
Okay, I'm just looking back quickly at the notes from the last joint
Yeah, brilliant, much appreciated.
committee which David was at, and it was definitely raised there because there's an agenda item on it. So there was definitely some consultation at that meeting. In terms of engagement with the workforce, we've consulted with, we have an employee reference group in the organisation.
Yep.
That's a group of people that are representative for the services. We've presented it to that group and taken feedback from that group on the strategy. And the idea is they collate the views from their teams.
Spot on.
And those views in, which is something we've introduced since the Alliance came in. And I think colleagues are really kind of embracing that opportunity, which is brilliant, to actually feed into things at a corporate level. And we've also consulted with service managers individually as well to make sure that the strategy reflects what they believe their service to require going forward in terms of in terms of kind of skills and ambitions.
Thank you very much for that. Can I ask how much funding is already available for this?
I'm not seeking funding in the report that I'm taking forward to the Cabinet to deliver the strategy. Much of the strategy can be delivered through change of policy without significant cost. Where costs are going to be required in the future, we will develop individual business cases for various initiatives at that point in time. And the areas where there's most likely to be the cost is around technology. And at the moment, we've not done the piece of work to say, these are the piece of technology we think the borough really needs. But when we do, we will come forward with a business case that sits around that and then seek the funding via that route. I'm not coming to the table now and saying, we need a sum of money.
Can I suggest that you approach the unions? Because we, as two unions, Unison and GMB, we put some meat on the bones and we did supply some funding initially.
Absolutely.
It's just a thought.
No, that's a really great thought. Thank you. I chair joint consultative committee for the two councils with the Alliance. We've actually got a meeting on, I think it's Monday or Tuesday of next week. So that's perfect timing. I will take that away as an action. That's
much appreciated. A couple of more points, if I may, Chair.
Carry on.
I know it states on, I'm looking on page 23, you made the comment yourself where it's achieve council's ambitions as a strategic alliance, we need all colleagues, etc. And it's obviously, it means do more for less. I mean, you've admitted that later on. So yeah, it's what level of education are we looking for the workforce? Is it across the board? It's not just in the council offices. I'm hoping it's all across the board.
Rach, do you want to pick that one up?
Yeah, as we've noted in the document, we do recognise that our workforce is split around 50-50. So we have about 50% in the offices or
yes.
As we are currently, even though we're not in the offices.
Yeah.
50% again in our services that we would regard as non-office based. So things like our cleansing departments and our refuse departments as well. And what we do recognise and learn is that whatever we look to introduce, we need to ensure is adapted or being able to be relevant to the particular work group that we'll be looking at. And we gain that through feedback that we receive through the One Team Voice. We have a number of representatives that come from those particular areas and they give really good, valuable feedback to us actually what will and won't work for their particular workforces. So yes, we do keep that in mind.
Lovely, because as we all know, level 2s are free at the moment. You can get, that's just an open aspect on that, because Mansfield District Council, we got everybody on a level 3 initially, and then I did level 3, level 4, level 5. I did that through MDC. I admitted that requires some funding, but as I said earlier, the unions did make a contribution. We used to have an education day once a month where we used to tap the unions up for money. We really did, and it worked. In this day and age, that's a wonderful thing to do. Quick looking at all my notes. I've got, my apologies, Chair. I've got that many notes everywhere.
Carry on. Carry on.
Yeah, one of the big things I've got is why has that this not been introduced before? I'm going to put my hand up and say I think Boston is a forward-thinking council, so I'm really astounded that it's not been on the table before. Really am. Can somebody throw some light on that one, please?
I mean, I can't answer that question, Councillor, because I've only been employed by the council since, well, by East Lindsey Council in this particular role since August the 1st. What I am very aware of is that Boston Borough Council does have a kind of staff development budget, and it has always invested in staff development. It's just probably never been presented in this way before, in terms of kind of some kind of overarching coherent strategy that sits around it. So I think the aspiration going forward is that we do present it in this way. We have a single package that kind of staff can relate to, rather than kind of less ad hoc, if you like, in a development activity. So lots of development has gone on within the Borough Council. There is an annual training budget, but I think this just presents it in a slightly different way and helps to direct how we use that annual training budget.
Lovely. Can I ask how many apprenticeships we've got in place already, please?
You can ask. I'm very sorry, I don't know the answer.
Well, much appreciate your honesty.
I will find out and I will email you if that's okay.
Yeah, that would be very much appreciated.
Can we have a written answer for everybody on that one? I think it's quite important.
Yeah, I'll sort that.
Okay. Can I go to Alan? Have you finished?
One more, if I may, Chair, please.
On
I'm
you
sorry,
go.
I'm hogging up the meeting.
Well, that's
it's just, do we have a health and safety panel across both councils, please? Where we, what it is health and safety panel, employees, managers, members of the council, obviously, and trade unions. We used to do this once a month. I started it at Mansfield District Council. Several councils picked it up because obviously statistics on health and safety, etc. We all know how bad that is at times. So it was something that we kept going, and they still do. I did phone up this morning, and that committee is still going. So that's a big plus factor.
Okay, so at the Joint Consultative Committee, they do look at kind of figures around health and safety issues. So
Right.
they are briefed on health and safety issues within the organisation, not the day-to-day operational issues necessarily, the more strategic issues, I guess, in terms of health and safety, and a bit of an overview they have at that particular meeting. There is a health and safety. Victoria Burgess is the assistant director responsible for health and safety across the organisation, and I think one of the things she's doing at the moment is looking at what form that panel takes in the future across the board. So East Lindsey has one arrangement at the moment for its health and safety. Boston has another arrangement. I think we're trying to get to the place where we have a single panel across the alliance workforce, and that's something that's very much kind of on Victoria's radar as something to look at and consider.
Yeah, because it's imperative to me that we include the health and safety reps for accidents and near misses also. Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much for your answers. Much appreciated. I'll leave the floor now, Chair. Thank you.
You can come back when you want. Now I've got two people to speak. That's Councillor Judith Skinner and Councillor Peter Bedford. I didn't keep an eye on who put their hand up first, but ladies first. Come on, Councillor Judith Skinner. Come on, Judith. You go first.
Much obliged. What I would like to say, this is a very clear and concise report. This is the way it is set out is very much like where I work. Their strategy is set out, so I think it's a very clear and concise, and everybody knows where they are and what they expect and what to look at the outcomes. So I'm really pleased with this. I think it's fantastic. And the other thing, it's not so many as questions as such, but to comment on page 29, it says promote the use of video conferencing. It reduces travel. Well, that fills another part of our remit. It fulfills our climate change remit as well. So I'm very pleased to see that in there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Skinner. Councillor Judith Skinner, sorry. Thank you, Councillor Judith Skinner.
You're welcome.
Only one comment I would make on it is that the less walking around you do, the less healthy we are. So perhaps we need to walk around a bit more.
Maybe we could video conference while sitting on an exercise bike.
Yeah, that'd be a first, wouldn't it? Excellent idea. Councillor Peter Bedford, it's all yours. Come on, Peter. Peter?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get. Are we on?
Yes, I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good.
You've muted yourself.
Is that better? Right. Thank you. Is this anything to do with the email we received this morning? Reference PSPS. We have got very loyal and brilliant staff at Boston. And is this a way of introducing the PSPS company, which I think is East Lindsey's current name for whatever they do with their staff? Is this a way of going part way down the line and then saying all staff are going to be transferred to PSPS? Because I want to know where we are right from the start with the chairman, if I may. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable question. The answer, in short, is no. It's completely unrelated. It is linked in no way, shape, or form to the email that was received this morning.
That's fine. Thank you, Chairman. That's answered my questions.
Can you tell me what PSPS is? What does it mean?
Public
PSPS.
Sector Partnership Services Limited.
No.
Who runs that?
I mean, I can give a bit of context to that if that's
Please,
helpful. So,
yes.
back in 2009, East Lindsey District Council and South Holland District Council formed an arm's length company called Public Sector Partnership Services. It was previously called actually Compass Point Business Services, you may know it as, but essentially it's a shareholding between East Lindsey and South Holland councils at the moment, and the company provides 5 back office services to East Lindsey and South Holland councils: HR, customer services, IT, revenues and benefits, and finance.
Fine. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. That's very, very enlightening. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Councillor Bedford, do you want to come back on that?
No, that's fine, Chairman. Thank you. It's just the fact that I want it very clear right from the start that the two aren't linked.
Thank you.
And we'll make sure that's minuted, Councillor Bedford, so it's very clear.
Thank you.
Councillor Anton Denny, you got your hand up. It's all yours.
Yeah, I'm still there. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see these things. And I used to work in a similar environment when I worked in London. So you have always tasks, you have always goals, you have always achievement, you have always a budget, and you have to work on that. And if you fail, basically, your career is gone. So you always have to fight for things you are doing, which is good. It's good to have a challenge. I love challenges. And this is as a challenge for the staff is fantastic. I will go to page 22, Mr. Chairman, which is, there is a few points there. There is this strategy support the corporate strategies of Boston Borough Council and East Lindsey District Council by, and I will go to point, I think, 2, which is establishing a healthy environment of trust and support. Let's not forget a trust and support. A trust and transparency, it's a very, very important word. And sometimes when you read the emails going between councillors, some of them, they don't have that trust. My question, how can we achieve the trust between the elected members as well? It's a part of this strategy, and it should be one of the important points in this strategy. That's one thing. Then we have the third point, which is placing a focus on staff health and resilience. At the moment with the COVID-19, a lot of people, they feel lonely. A lot of people, they will feel depressed. A lot of people, they are not going to feel comfortable. Are we able to tackle these issues immediately, or this is just a project for the next 2021 or 2022? So is it just for the next years? And I would like it to be probably implemented from now. That's the other thing. I go to point number 4, which is improving outcomes by focusing on people, customers, residents, elected members. Now, our code of conduct is not adequate to meet some of the criteria of elected members. And I think when and how we're gonna sort out this kind of issues with the elected members, because elected members are very, very important. We are elected to represent the public. We are public figures, and we should deliver our commitment and promises to the public as well. So we are obliged, and we have to be committed to deliver what we preach for. And that comes again under trust and support. Okay, now, then we go to page 24 and we have workforce development strategy. It's all of it. It sounds very good. It seems very good. It's nice to see these points. How about councillors? How the councillors can deliver the right projects for the residents and communities? And that's my question. And the last thing, Mr. Chairman, is, would it be advisable that the councillors, elected members of Boston Borough Council, meet with the elected members of East Lindsey once a while to discuss any issues and learn from each other how we deal with any problems or any challenges coming towards us? And in these meetings, we should forget the political sides, and we meet as a human who are elected by the public and discuss certain challenges. And thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I hope I didn't bore you.
No, I can confirm that I am a human being as well. So
I send you a thumbs up, you see? That's very good. Here it is.
brilliant, thank you. Yes, I mean, I'll probably go along with a lot of that, really. I think it's no reason why we should meet and talk. It's always good to talk to people across the boundaries, and if you talk, you understand people better, don't you? So that's true as regards workforce development. I'm not sure how that goes with councillors, because we're not, in a sense, a part of the workforce, are we? We are and we aren't, aren't we? We're kind of employees, but we're not employees.
But we can always be involved in certain challenges, which can make us a better councillor. I would love to learn more. I would love to go forward. I would like to work with everyone. I would like to leave every single issues behind me and go forward, as I say, as a human, working for other members of the public in our town. That's how I see it. Politics, it has a place and time. But when we deal with the issues regarding our town, we should be more human, and should be more people or persons who can deal with it as a person. So,
yes, I quite agree with that. I think that's a very fair comment. Councillor Alan Bell, I thought you were about to say something. Is that correct?
Thank you very much, Chair. Just a question. It was, how many disability champions have we got? That's a very simple question from a simple person.
I'm sorry, Councillor Bell. Mr. Chairman, I didn't get any answers.
I'm sorry about that. Yes,
I have a few points to be clarified.
Sorry, right. I slipped up my job there.
I'm sorry again, Councillor Bell.
I'll give myself 100 lines for that.
No worries, Mr. Chairman.
James or Rachel, do you want to come back on Councillor Danny's points?
We do have
Councillor Paul Skinner. Do you want to jump in as well?
Yeah, we do have a council development committee. I think we could actually push things a bit better, whether it's COVID or whatever. But I value developing people, whether they're councillors or whether they're employees. To me, if they're happy to sit where they are and be the best at doing that, that's great. If they want to go up to the sky, that's great as well. But whoever they are, they really need the skills to do the job. And I'm very supportive, both in my industrial life and otherwise. And that's just the way it needs to be. And as regards, Alan mentioned safety, that is a joint concern. Doesn't matter whether you're management or shop floor. We should all be doing the best for each other. Thank you.
Fine, thank you, Paul. Okay, I think I was going to ask for Rachel and James to come back on, on Councillor Danny's points. Do you have anything to say on that?
I think I was going to say similar to Councillor Skinner, actually. I mean, the strategy as presented is really about kind of the workforce, so the staff cohort across the Alliance. However, the Councillor Development Committee forum does exist. We could look to have a conversation with the chairman of that committee, bring forward another meeting and start looking at what some of those development needs are within the councillor cohort, and maybe do a bit of consultation to understand where you would like to see the efforts focused. And some of that could be around relationship building, if you feel that's a really strong issue that needs to be improved across the council, Councillor Danny. So what we can do, I'll have a conversation with HR colleagues, and our Democratic Services team will look at how we can move something forward on that.
Thank you, James. I think it's good what you said. I will just pick up from the last sentence you just mentioned. I think we need to have a good relation between a councillor and an officer, and in fact, it should be between all elected members and your team guys, so we can have a better communication, we build better bridges, and we can really work hard on achieving things together. Because we are elected, we are the ones who carry the things from the public to you guys. And we have to understand that there is legislation, there is law, there is things, and there is a way how dealing with things. We don't know everything as you guys, you're the expert. We are the ones who carry. We are just, as we call it, like cross-contamination, we are between. So we have to find that kind of way to deal with you guys in a proper way and in a respectful way, as we would like the same, via versa. Thank you.
Do you think cross-fertilization would be better than cross-contamination?
That's very good if you use it that way.
You want to say anything more, Councillor Danny?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you for allowing me to talk, but thank you.
You can come back again if you want. Councillor Alan Bell and Councillor Paul Goodale have words to say. Councillor Bell, what would you want to do, Alan?
It was just the question on how many disability champions have we got across both councils, please.
James or Rachel?
I'm looking to Rach.
I'll probably have to commit to come back to you. I'll speak to the HR manager and find out specific numbers on disability champions. I certainly know from a conversation that I've had earlier this week with the health and safety lead at Boston that there are a number of mental health first aiders. I appreciate that that's just looking at one specific thing. Throughout the organisation, and I'm currently working with the health and safety manager on that, about bringing the two groups that we have across both councils together to make a wider network of champions.
Brilliant.
Health.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you all for all your answers, much appreciated. And I can't wait for it to get forward, I really can't.
Rachel, can you send that information across to all councillors? I think it's something we all need to understand. Councillor Bell, have you finished? Do you want to say anything else? Councillor Bell?
Yes, I'll give you the floor back now, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, righto. Councillor Paul Goodale. Paul? Councillor Paul Goodale, you got your hand up? Paul? I don't think he's there at the present minute.
Chairman, can you hear me?
I can now. I thought you might have gone to sleep.
No, I was. My screen just went blank.
All right.
I don't know why, but really, it's. I'm trying to get back on there, but it's just really a question of when we are looking at the themes. Well, I mean, the development program, which I have to say I find very interesting. I have to say, and it's. Not before time we had something like this within the authority. Something I was very keen on, I've been very keen on for quite a while, and I did introduce it when I was leader of the council to have a graduate program. And I see it says what we are going to do is develop and resource strategies, including apprenticeships and a graduate program. Which I find very interesting. I'm just wondering when that was going to happen, because I assume that we already, we already employ apprenticeships, but I assume we already had a program in place. But would the graduate program, is that about attracting graduates or actually sending and supporting young people from the area to actually go to university and assist them in their studies? When they come back to us in the obviously out of term time, to shall we say, develop what they've learned and actually pass on all the latest sort of knowledge to the council. I also wonder within that, it says we provide a robust annual training program. I wonder within that what support there is for, I know we don't have many blue collar workers anymore, but I mean, I'm a big advocate of when people join the authority, be whatever, whether it's blue collar or white collar, that they can see a progression rather than it just being a job, that there should be trade and job progression for wherever you start within the organization. And although I appreciate that we don't employ many non-white collar staff anymore, I still think it's important that when people join the authority, that there is that progression, that the people can actually join Boston Borough Council on whatever level and see a career progression path that they could take. Is that to be included in this program? You know, are the blue collar sector actually included in this, be it either trade progression or progression through the organization? I'm very keen for that to happen, because I think there's nothing worse than joining an organization and basically it is a job. If there is a career progression path that people can see to work and something to aim for, then I think that's a far better, breeds a far better working environment for all concerned. So there's just a couple of points, Chairman. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm not a member of your committee, but I found the debate very interesting, and I think this actual programme is a very interesting development. So thank you for that, Chairman.
Well, thank you, Paul. I mean, the fact is that committee meetings are open to any councillor. Obviously, in the voting side of things, it's a different matter. But as far as I'm concerned, this committee meeting is open to all councillors. And if they wish to speak, that's fine. Now, I'm sorry I got interrupted there. James and Rachel, do you want to come back to what Councillor Paul Goodale said? Do you have any comments?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in there. Thank you, Councillor Goodale, for your comments on there. Graduate and apprenticeship happens to be one of my passions, so it's something I can actually talk about for hours. I'm not going to, though, I promise you.
All right.
Just in terms of your comments on apprentices, so Boston do already have a number of apprentices across the council, and we've had some great apprentices that have come through. As part of this, what we want to ensure, though, is what we develop is when we are looking to bring in an apprentice, that we're making sure that there's a route for them beyond their apprenticeship scheme. So we don't just bring them in, do an apprenticeship and then wave goodbye to them. Actually, there are roles that they can then look to progress in. In terms of graduates, that's not really an area that we've massively moved into at the moment. But again, this is something that we want to look at, particularly we've got a great university within our county, and we want to look at how we can work with that particular university and also neighbouring universities, and how we can look at that. So I think your question was around, would that be looking at seeking new people, so new graduates, or actually developing existing? Well, actually, it's probably looking at a bit of both, really. So how are we attracting graduates or keeping them in the area, but also when we're working with our existing members of staff, looking at what development they maybe have, and that's around supporting them through. We can do it through the apprenticeship levy, looking at higher apprenticeships up to level 7 level and up to master's level. In terms of your queries around succession planning, yeah, again, that's one of the things that we have committed to as part of this strategy, is to look and ensure that we have succession plans running throughout the organisation, and that's looking at both from a skill and technical level. So, for example, what's the succession plan to become a planner or an environmental health specialist, for example, but also in a levelled progression, if you like, as well. So, if you were come in as a street cleanser, what progression or what path could you take if you wanted to go to be perhaps the team lead, or sort of then onto the service manager potential level with that, or actually a more skilled ground maintenance person, and looking at different areas that you could develop. So we are committed to looking at succession planning throughout the organisation. In terms of some of the other things that we've been looking at, we actually are just about to introduce a Future Leaders programme. So we had a number of people across Boston apply for this, and the sort of feedback once we've been confirming that they've secured a place has been absolutely wonderful. Actually, the comments that I've received back about how pleased they are that they're having this investment in their future is great. I think I've answered all of your questions, but like I said, it's one of those I could talk for hours on.
Yeah, I thank you for that, Rachel. I mean, I think we can have a very lengthy discussion, you and I, but thank you for that. Thank you, Chairman.
Rachel,
if I could just add there, Chairman, at the end, Rachel referred to the Future Leaders programme and some of the wonderful comments that have come back from the workforce. If you'll just indulge me for 2 seconds, I'll read a couple of them out. Wow, 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 I'm so excited. Thank you, you've made my day. That's fantastic. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I look forward to it. So people are really excited about some of these development opportunities that we're now presenting to the workforce. And the Future Leaders programme is a really exciting initiative to give those people in the organisation who may not get the exposure because of the type of role they're in now, some of the more corporate aspects of the organisation or the development opportunities they really want. So we're trying to create them through this programme for people, and the feedback's just been, as Rach said, absolutely wonderful.
perhaps we can have a summary or report of what's going on so that all members know exactly what the options are for our staff and the things that they're doing, along with the comments. I mean, obviously that's good publicity for itself, isn't it, a way that if people are enjoying their courses and getting something out of it and feel that their place in our councils is worthwhile, that's very, very good, isn't it? So perhaps if we can have a summary of that, brief summary. I'm obviously, you can talk for 3 hours if you want, Rachel, but perhaps, taking our workload into account, perhaps a short, brief summary would be good. Yeah. Okay, thanks very much. Councillor Bell, and Councillor Howard. Councillor Howard, I think, actually. May I go to you first? Martin?
Yes, thank you. I'm just quite interested in the comments a few minutes ago regarding graduates and apprenticeships. I actually, and the comment was, we've got a great university. We've also got a great college.
Yes.
I actually teach the full degree program, level 4, 5 and 6 at Boston College. And I would be very interested in possibly connecting with the council students internships. When my students graduate level 6, they come out with a BA honours degree in business and management. So, I would be more than happy to get involved in that. Even if there was an option of an internship that students could work for the council a couple of days a week, from a business and management point of view, so I'll be more than happy to get involved in that. That was all, really. That was all.
Thank you, Martin. I think that's excellent. And as you rightly point out, we have a university on our doorstep, don't we? Boston College offers so many good courses. We have a terrific opportunity there to take advantage of, don't we? So thank you, Councillor Howard. I think that's excellent. Yes, okay, Councillor Bell. Councillor Danny's sitting there. He's got his hand up, hasn't he? I do apologise, Councillor Danny. Yours is the floor.
Don't worry, Mr. Chairman. I use the technology to its limits.
Wow, fine, very nice.
The only thing it's more a remark, it's a point I would like to make to Rachel and James. It's nothing bad, it's not a criticism, it's a quite positive one. On page 28, what will success look like? It's a very fascinating sentence, it's quite good. Colleagues telling us they feel valued and fulfilled and all. Wouldn't be just as a suggestion to have, probably the last thing, a team achievement, because in the end of the day, you're going to work as a team, as a group. So the achievement and reaching the targets and the goals and finishing your tasks as a team, because you're different, will be an ideal point to add there. And that will be the success of the team, not just an individual sending an email. I feel great today because I did something on my own. We need a teamwork.
Fine. Rachel, do you want to come back on that?
Yeah, thank you for that comment. I'll happily include wording around team achievement and success. Absolutely.
I'm afraid we're piling on some work for you, aren't we?
I'm sorry about that. It just, because, it's good to recognize that people are doing good job. At the end of the day, they have to work as a team, and that's the only way to go.
I agree.
But thank
absolutely.
you, but thank you, Rachel, for taking it on board. Thank you.
Can I go to Alan, Councillor Danny? Councillor Bell, rather.
Of course, Mr. Chairman. Anytime Miss Councillor Bell want to talk, give him the priority. I can wait.
No, it's all right. Fine. Bell.
Thank you, thank you, Chair. The mayor stole my thunder, because that's what I was going to say. We used to have a wall chart, and we used to do it fortnightly, monthly. So yeah, Mr. Mayor stole my thunder. So thank you very much. Well done.
Great minds think alike. Anton, do you want to come back on anything before I kind of wind it up?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Give me enough opportunities. I really appreciate. Thank you.
I value your contribution always.
Thank you, sir.
Anton.
Thank you, sir. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
Right. Now, the recommendation of the report is that the committee provides comments to support the strategy development. That certainly happened. I have to have a proposer that these comments go forward.
I will propose it, Mr. Chairman. I will propose it.
And I will second it, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Bell seconds. So we'll go to the vote. Jeanette, can you please take the vote on this?
Yes, Chairman. Councillor Peter Bedford, if you could indicate whether you're for, against, or wish to abstain.
For, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Alan Bell.
For.
Councillor George Corner.
For.
Councillor Anton Danny.
For.
Councillor Neil Hasty.
For.
Councillor Martin Howard.
For.
Councillor Judith Skinner.
For.
And yourself, Chairman.
For.
That's unanimous, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, the next item of business is the draft annual scrutiny report for 2019-20 that appears on page 35 of your agenda. This has been produced by Karen Rist, Democratic Services Officer, and approved by myself and Councillor Judith Skinner as Madam Chairman of the Environment and Performance Committee. It is being presented to you and to the Environment and Performance Committee at its next meeting as a draft for your comments and for your recommendation to full council before its publication. Now, does any member have any comments or any suggestions for changes, additions or deletions? So it's over to members. I'm sure you've read this. I thought Councillor Judith Skinner actually wrote a better front of it than I did, actually. I think she's done better there. But that's a personal opinion. I think Councillor Judith Skinner wrote a very good report at the front. I was a bit sparse.
Yeah, I thought we complimented each other perfectly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yours was better, Judith, actually. It was much better.
No. We're both very, very different, but very poignant points.
Thank you very much. Anyway, thanks, Judith. Anybody got any comments to make about this report or want to speak about it? Does anybody wish to say anything? There's absolute silence. Wonderful. Oh, Councillor Danny, what do you want to say? The floor is yours.
Since we are on scrutiny, I think it's working very good for us. And, the both committees really, as Councillor Judith, just stated, we complement each other. I would like to suggest probably any financial or any, things going before it goes to the cabinet, we should have it scrutinized all the time. And I think it will be good for us to practice all the time because we're going to be aware of what's going on, and it will build in us that kind of confidence to scrutinize matters which are really related to our communities, matters which is important for our town. And I think it should come automatically, not let it go straight to the cabinet.
Well, we can scrutinize most things, actually, if you read the report. We have pretty well an open brief, actually. So we can scrutinize anything. But of course, it is in everything we do has to be in relation to the executive, and and we do consultation with the executive as to what we can do. But actually, we've got a very free hand, and actually, you can recommend anything you want, Councillor Danny. You know, anything you want us to scrutinise, we will do it. All right.
It's basically, if we talk about the HR and hiring people during this alliance and this strategy alliance, we should be aware of what's going on, and we should have the right to scrutinize the process, and we should have the right to be involved in that process.
Now, that might be a bit difficult about the recruitment side. We've got to be a bit careful about that, but certainly we can scrutinize the process, but we have to be very careful about getting involved in the process. Otherwise, we might, there might be conflict of interest there. So we've got to be a bit careful about that. But I see no reason. Processes, yes, it's our job to scrutinize processes.
Well, I'm talking from previous experiences.
Right.
If we go to the previous chief executive, he was an apprentice, and then he went all the way to be a chief executive, which is good luck. Anybody can do that. But we didn't, for example, scrutinize the ability or any backgrounds or any relative resources or any kind of experience from previous ones. So as a scrutiny, I think we should be involved in these things, even giving ideas and talking about it. At least it's clear, and even for the public, in the eyes of the public, is something which is, it didn't pass the scrutiny, is something which is the scrutiny was involved, and it gives us that legitimacy to be there. We are there, we are present. We are looking after the monies, we are looking after the public.
I understand that, but we do have to be careful about getting involved in the process itself. We can scrutinize the process.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
But I would be wary about us getting involved any deeper than that. It's a bit, you end up with involving yourself in employment law, and we have to be very careful about that. So we can't go down that path too far. Yes, Councillor Paul Skinner. Yes, Leader. Leader.
Thank you very much, Chairman. You're absolutely right in what you're saying. Councils are indeed strategic. The operational bits, the chief executive is responsible for delivering those. Although we can give him a strategy and state our priorities, we very definitely don't get involved with day to day. Thank you.
Yes, and that's absolutely correct. And we've got to be careful. Otherwise, if we breach employment law, we put the council itself at risk. Now, Councillor Judith Skinner.
Thank you, Chair. Talking about putting things to scrutiny, I would like nothing more than to receive one of these suggestion forms on page 54 for suggestions for my scrutiny committee, as I'm sure you would, Councillor Woodliff. It is, and they can be sent to either the chair or the clerk, and then they can be given consideration when it comes to the work programme. It would be fantastic to receive them.
I agree, absolutely. So the only reservation I have is we just have to be a bit careful about certain aspects of the business. As Paul has pointed out, we have to be very careful we don't tread on the toes of the head of service, because we can't involve ourselves in situations which might be the recruitment of staff. That's very dicey, that area. So we have to be very careful.
I was taking it completely away from what Councillor Danny had said. I was sort of saying that obviously if a councillor feels that there's a topic they want to discuss, by us receiving the suggestion form and them stating the reasons for it, we can discuss whether that is something that it is a scrutiny item or not. Yes. And then pop it on the work programme if it is, or form a working group or a task and finish, or have an inquiry evening or a briefing. There's so many different ways we can look at these things. It all starts with the suggestion for scrutiny.
I agree. I mean, you're absolutely right. And I'm fully in agreement with that. I just want to be a little bit careful about where we go, because we mustn't put the council in difficulties if we start to edge into an area which is employment. So we have to be very careful about that. But yes, I agree. You know, we have a suggestion pack there. People should write and tell us what they want to scrutinise. Yeah, definitely have a suggestion pack. Let them go for it. Now, Councillor Peter Bedford, you've got your hand up. Peter? Peter?
Yes, I'm here.
Good.
I'd just like to move the recommendations, Chairman.
Fine. That's excellent. So I have a proposer. I now need a seconder. Anybody? Yeah,
I will second it, Mr. Chairman.
right. You're beaten to it, I'm afraid, Councillor Bell, on this occasion. I'm afraid you're beaten to it.
I'd just
Right.
like to make a comment, if I may, Chair.
Okay.
Before...
Yes, yeah, sure.
Thank you. It's just going back to scrutiny that was on Notts County Council. The basic statement was effective scrutiny helps secure the efficient delivery of public services and drives improvements within the authority itself. That's what the fundamentals are, I was told.
Yes, I agree with that. That's right. It is ostensibly a strategy thing, though, rather than being directly involved in certain the recruitment of staff. I should say that point. It is a strategy area, so we are a slightly higher level. We assess what goes on, but we can't get involved in recruitment, and that's one area we can't do. I do notice, actually, I mustn't pat myself on the back. It's not right, but I noticed on page 43 that. It says, following on from new guidance, Boston Borough Council scrutiny function was audited and received a high assurance rating, which recognised that the council maintained a high level of confidence in its service delivery arrangements, its management of risks, and the operation of its controls and performance. And the arrow goes straight up to high. So that's a pat on the back for Judith and a pat on the back for me. I shouldn't do that, of course. It's not right, is it? But I'm going to take the opportunity to do it. Anyway, we've got a motion on the table. And
Mr. Chairman, can I come back?
Of
Just
course.
for a second. Yeah. I mean, what I said, I didn't say, I didn't meant, sorry if it's taken in the wrong way, to be involved in recruitment or recruitment. Yeah. But the major recruitment and big ones, financially, if they're big and we don't feel, I mean, it happens before, we didn't agree on certain, pay packages for certain, but that's what the way I see it, especially when you look at the page 53, public involvement, and then we have to look after the pound.
I understand, Councillor Danny, but
so that's what I meant. I didn't mean that we will be involved in recruitment. That will be too hard for us to have an HR, and no, I don't mean that. The biggest positions and the way we can deal with it. That's what I meant.
I think that that's okay, but I would be guided by the officers, particularly in that area. When we deal with that type of thing, I want to have the professional advice around me.
Of course.
So I know that I'm not going to be shot at, if you say, by somebody else, some lawyer, whatever, by making a mistake. So I have the duty to protect the committee. And that's what I will do. I will protect the committee whilst giving people a free hand to discuss whatever they want.
I don't think so. We're going to be involved with any lawyers or any unions if we discuss a package for someone before he's recruited.
Well, I'll wait to be guided on that.
Yes.
I'll take the advice of the leader and everybody else before I dare go down that pathway.
That's fine. That's all up to you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll be very careful. Jeanette, go to the vote, please.
Oh, yes, Chairman. It's been proposed and seconded that the annual scrutiny report be recommended to full council for publication. Could members indicate whether they are for, against, or wish to abstain? Councillor Peter Bedford.
For.
Councillor Alan Bell.
For.
Councillor George Corner.
For.
Councillor Anton Danny.
For.
Councillor Neil Hasty.
For.
Councillor Martin Howard.
For.
Councillor Judith Skinner.
For.
And yourself, Chairman.
For.
That's unanimous, Chairman. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Then we move on to the final item. Now we come to the final item of business, the committee's work programme, which is on page 55 with the agenda pack. And I'm asked to point out there's a typo in the heading. If the programme is for the year 2021 and does not cover the period from 12th, have you noticed that? 2012? I wonder if you noticed that. I noticed it. Didn't I, Jeanette? I noticed it.
Yes, Chairman.
So there was an error, wasn't it? Has it been corrected, actually? Did you correct
it? I corrected it on the website.
Right.
But the agenda had been printed.
Oh, yes, I see. Yes, I remember now. Yes. Page 55 at the top. The work programme from 2012 to 2021. Andy Fisher, what about that then? Do you want to discuss that or not?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I think it's important that we do. As the committee will see, we are particularly light for the next scrutiny on the 10th. So I'm very happy to receive the committee's requests or suggestions for appropriate scrutiny items as they relate to your committee's work agenda, Mr. Chairman, in relation to people and public service, which of course will be amended once we bring forward the new corporate plan and align them to scrutiny accordingly. So unless the committee wishes to cancel its meeting, we really need to put some thought into what relevant and important matters you may wish to consider.
Well, that's over to committee members. Any thoughts on this? Any comments and thoughts? What would you like us to do? Oh, yes, Jeanette.
Just to remind you, Chairman, that we have a special Corporate and Community Committee meeting on the 12th of November to consider the Port of Boston report.
On the 12th of
November.
Right.
Yes, Chairman. It's a single item agenda on from the monitoring officer, Michelle Sachs, on the Port of Boston.
Yes, I remember that. How do members feel? Do members want to have a meeting in December, or is that going to put a strain on people's lives? I don't want to force people into meetings they don't want. I mean, we can all go home early, can't we? I don't see a reason why I should force officers to work harder and harder. They work hard enough. So if there's no suggestions for us at the 10th of December, well, I won't force anybody to come. Is that, oh, Councillor Danny, do you have a thought for the 10th of December, or is that proposal not to have a meeting?
No, for the 10th of December, because I noticed something. Is it possible to have the environment and health as one of our subjects for scrutiny?
Andy?
Sorry, Chairman. Environment and health. Do you want to just give me some framework around that, Councillor Danny, and I'll try and respond?
Okay, Andy, because I noticed some food outlets in Boston, which goes under the umbrella of the health. They bring their own food in their own cars and they take rubbish in their own cars. And I don't know how things are working with our officers. It has been mentioned to one of the portfolio holders, and I don't know what's outcome. But I think it will be a great idea to bring it, and we can all contribute and talk about it because it's part of the town.
I wonder whether that's Councillor Skinner's, Councillor Judith Skinner's little area. Judith, do you think that would fit in with you more than with me, being performance? Sorry to pass the buck, but I mean.
John, I was just trying to think. It's more community. I would have thought, would it?
Well, thank you.
Performance. We measure the council's performance. Environment would be. Could be environment and that side. So
it's really community, isn't it? It's a community issue, I think.
A lot of these things do cross over, and you do have to sort of break them down and decide which way to go.
Well, I think probably. I mean, I'll go with it if people want that. I'm not going to fight over anything, but that's a possibility. What do you think, then, Andy? Is that a feasible option?
I mean, as we've said several times previously, Mr. Chairman, in terms of the broad remit of our corporate priorities, you can tangibly hinge many scrutiny items.
I know.
I suppose my only question back to the committee would be the purpose of that scrutiny, because what we shouldn't do as officers is just present to you information without any tangible resolutions for you to make, because that then becomes a member briefing session, doesn't it, rather than scrutiny. But if you would wish to see something on food safety, if you would wish to receive a report of how food safety inspections have been affected as a result of COVID, we could certainly bring that information. Of course, you will know that I'm the outgoing head of environmental health, so you know, things with food safety are particularly different at the moment. The arrangements with the Food Standards Authority. But if you would wish to see something around there, then I will work with Mr. Gray, our Environmental Health Manager, to try and spec up a relevant scrutiny item, presenting some options for the council, for the committee to tangibly consider.
And
Well,
also, and sorry, Mr. Chairman, my next point was, what about the well-being of mental health?
well, that's a major issue. That comes to the health scrutiny at Lincoln, doesn't it? I mean, that's
Indeed. If members can cast their mind back to pre-COVID times, we had actually set out a work programme to include taking evidence and information from Lincolnshire Partnership Foundation Trust and other health professionals in relation to the general health of the community. And if you recall, the Director of Public Health has been to this committee previously, setting out a range of public health data. Now, with respect, I would suggest that may be a little challenging for Mr. Ward to do that in the current climate, particularly with his lead for public health in the COVID times and what I know to be very demanding time for him in relation to the Resilience Forum. But yes, that is an element of the committee. It's just, and again, I'm just thinking in terms of going into winter pressures. It's not a report I could deliver to you. We would need external professionals to do that. I am more than happy to ask, but would just respectfully remind the committee of the times that we're in.
yes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that would be fantastic. Now, yes.
Yes, carry on, please.
I have another point, Mr. Chairman, and this is just from experience. Probably you're not aware of that. Last Saturday, I was around town around 4:30, and I was talking to a gentleman near W.H. Smith. And while we were talking, we seen a group of almost 14 bicycles down the Pressing straight Bargate. They were cycling, and they were all kids between 13, 14, that kind of age. And one of the kids, while he was cycling, he went and slapped a woman on the head.
That's a police matter.
Yes. So I'm coming. Can we have an agenda where we can have the police in our scrutiny to scrutinize probably the work, and we can work together?
I think that
Because
might come to Boston Town Area Committee, really.
yes, I totally agree with you. But if we're a scrutiny, we have more power. I think the power is in our hands to deal with certain issues, mental health problems, antisocial behavior.
I'm looking at something in front of me now. I brought it up on my PC, which we are discussing at Health Scrutiny in Lincoln, which is the protocol for child and adolescent mental health services, called CAMS, actually, which is under discussion. Mental health is something that is really handled by Lincolnshire Health Scrutiny Committee. It's very, very detailed. I'm not sure that we will be able to really run that in a scrutiny committee here, but it's possible, I suppose. It's possible, but it's something which is being discussed at Health Scrutiny in Lincoln, and all the stuff, of course, is online, so you can get all the stuff, all the reports if you want them. I'm writing a report actually on what we did for this week's Health Scrutiny Committee anyway, so you'll get a copy of that. Judith, I noticed your hand was up.
It's just, Chair, that the Environmental Performance Committee are just finishing off a task and finish, which includes some antisocial behaviour and things like that. So, you know, and we have consulted with the police on this sort of thing. So probably if Councillor Danny waits for that to come out, because that'll be going to the parent committee in the next meeting, he might find some answers there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think it's very good. I think the mental health thing we'd have to leave because we're not really able to tackle that. I think it's not, we can tackle anything, but I know that the matter's being assessed at Health Scrutiny in Lincoln. It's a major issue there. I wouldn't want to tread on their toes if that's going to be discussed. And also I'm conscious of the fact that we can't overload our staff. Andy, comments, please.
If we revert to environmental health, I could arrange for you to receive a report on food safety assurance during COVID, if that would be an appropriate frame for the committee.
Yep.
I think there would be some interesting information, and actually what you could do is you could genuinely scrutinise the performance of the environmental health statutory duties that we have as a local authority. That becomes a valid scrutiny topic in accordance with our constitution.
Councillor Danny, how do you feel about that?
I think it's perfect. It's very good. I totally agree with Andy. And I think we should be involved more with different subjects and different matters. I think it will be very good.
Councillor Paul Skinner, I saw you raise your hand there. Or was that just to
annoy me?
That's to scratch the dome, mate. Sorry.
Any comments or not? Do you have any comments or not?
Well, I think anything we can do to support our communities by looking into the services that we and others deliver to make sure that we achieve the best we can for our area.
Yes.
I mean, before we had a task and finish into health, and I think at the end of the wash up of the period we're going through, I think we may need to revisit that.
But that's public health, isn't it, really?
Well,
public health and mental health service are not quite the same thing. It's public health.
They're not quite the same thing, but the former chairman before you, the other Paul, he actually run a task and finish into our hospital services and things.
Yes.
And that contained, that was a good piece of work actually, and I think the subject might come up again.
Yes, I mean you can run something. It is a major task area. I mean, the health services, the Lincolnshire Health Scrutiny Committees.
I'm sure, Mr. Chairman, sir, you're the man to do it.
Oh, thank you very much. You can write that on my gravestone if you want. We'll go, Andy. I think we'll go with Councillor Dennis and your suggestion, Councillor Dennis, to look at the food hygiene. Was it food hygiene side of things? Was it? I think that's something easily we can fit in, isn't it?
And Mr. Chairman, if we could do food safety, environmental health has two principal disciplines: food, pollution, and nuisance. So I will bring or have brought to your committee a report setting out our performance. So we link back to the data and you get to challenge the data. And as officers, we can provide you assurance around our work of food safety and around our impact and ongoing effect in relation to nuisance, whilst setting that against the backdrop of the health and safety risks that COVID brings to the community and to obviously staff trying to affect their work. I think that's a relevant, proportionate and appropriate scrutiny that should fill a reasonable amount of agenda on the 10th of December if the committee is satisfied with that.
I'm happy with it. Councillor Paul Goodale, you've got a comment, haven't you? Paul?
Oh, I have to move.
Thank you, Chairman. It's just really, and I shall be raising it on EMP as well. I wonder whether we just had the annual report, and obviously it's looked at things what the committee have looked at, if you like. But I wonder if it's worth just reviewing what the committee or the scrutiny boards have actually scrutinised and made comment on, and how successful those scrutiny interventions have been, and whether things need revisiting. Because I accept that we bring things to scrutiny, we have a meeting, things get passed through the agenda and passed on, and there is sort of a little bit of feedback at the next meeting or probably the meeting after, but we never really follow them totally through. And I wonder if it's really an item which could be looked at, because obviously, I think it's your committee that probably looks after HMOs and that sort of thing. I mean, how successful has the licensing program been for a start? I mean,
Well,
I keep
we could
getting
bring that forward
comments every day about that one's not licensed, and I know Andy's been very good at sending people around to check them, and he believes that, you know, we actually are on top of that. But you know, I sometimes wonder when we scrutinise something and it's gone past and it's probably 6 months, 9 months later, and whether there is a need to actually review what's happened in the past to see if actually it needs more work, shall I say. It's just a comment. I should be making it on EMP, which I am a member of.
I'd like to, Judith.
So, but I just wonder if it's something that which you would.
Yeah, I totally agree, Paul.
Pardon, Judy?
I totally agree with you.
Thank you.
It's always open to members to suggest anything. I mean, the point is that the members of the committee run the committee, and they decide what they want to scrutinise. My view is always to support the members in that. I defend the committee, but I also give them the freedom to do whatever they want. If members want to scrutinise all the decisions taken from, let's take this, from 2012 to 2021, they are welcome to do so. Whether I want to be the chairman of it is another matter.
Well, I don't think it's a question of that, Chairman. I think it's just a question of maybe selecting things that have been contentious and could be revisiting. That's all. I don't necessarily mean you actually look through every decision that has been made, but things which have been contentious, and maybe it's worth just looking at them again. I don't mind. It's not, say I'm not a member of your committee anyway. It's just a suggestion.
Oh, well, you can suggest though. Any councillor can suggest a topic for the scrutiny committee to look at. That is the way it is. So if you've got a list of topics, Paul, then present them, and Judith and I will scan them and decide which ones we keep and which ones we throw out. No, that's not fair, is it?
Yes, hopefully with the discussion with the person that suggested it.
Absolutely.
And our rationale for what the decision we take.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I think we should scrutinise the BTAC.
Oh, well, we could do, yes. But we can, yes. We had the power to scrutinise anything if we want to. But
well, you can scrutinise the finances of BTAC.
I mean, by all means, we're open to scrutiny. We're a very transparent committee, so I don't think there's anything we have to hide.
Well, you sit on that BTAC, Councillor Danny, so it's entirely a matter for you to scrutinise the accounts like any other member.
I think we are doing a good job, and I think Councillor Goodale is doing a good job as chairman of BTAC.
Thank you. Right, very, very good. Councillor Bell, did you have a comment? I thought you might be about to say something. Are you?
No, I've really enjoyed the meeting tonight. That was all I was going to say, Chair. Really enjoyed it.
Right, we have a proposal for the 10th of December. Andy, can you read out what we suggested? Because you'll have written it down, won't you? I hope. Have you?
Thank you. We'll bring forward a report, Mr. Chairman, to scrutinise the performance of the Borough Council's environmental health function as it relates to food safety and dealing with nuisance.
Yep. Okay, fine. That's perfect as far as I'm concerned. One item's enough. Does anybody else wish to say anything? Does anybody else wish to make any comments or whatever? If we can then, if there are no more comments, then I think I can close the meeting, can't I, Jeanette? Am I right in that? There's nothing else to do, is there?
There's nothing else, Chairman. That's the full agenda. Thank you.
Right, well then I'm going to take the decision here to say thank you very much indeed to all members who've come and participated, and it's been a very good meeting as far as I'm concerned, and now I'm going to close the meeting and finish off my cup of coffee. So
thank you, Mr.
Yep. So good night, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Really good meeting.
Yeah, it's been
brilliant.
Yep.
Night.
Thanks, everyone.